Good morning, everyone. As we begin this morning's program to officially dedicate Enka Intermediate School, I'll ask everyone to stand as we have the first presentation of colors at the school led by Enka High School Air Force Junior ROTC Color Guard. Our Pledge of Allegiance is led by Miss Allie Darby, a rising sixth grader coming to Enka Intermediate School from Pisgah Elementary.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. You may be seated. It is my pleasure to introduce today's Master of Ceremony. Mr. Max Queen is a lifelong Enka resident and has served on our Board of Education since 2014. Max, his lovely wife Janie, and their 3 children are all proud graduates of Enka District Public Schools. He spent 37 years in leadership positions at AB Technical Community College, including Dean of Allied Health and Public Service Programs and Vice President of Administrative Services. Additionally, he served as a paramedic for the Buncombe County EMS and is a lifetime firefighter and board member of the Enka Candler Fire and Rescue. So if anyone gets a little dizzy from all the heat out here, Max is going to be your man. Please welcome today our Master of Ceremony, Mr. Max Queen.
Well, if you noticed, we actually have the fire department representing us here today, and they may need to resuscitate me before this is over. It's quite a day in the life of Hominy Valley and of the Enka School District. And I want to thank everyone for taking the time to be here to celebrate this event, our ribbon cutting ceremony here at the new Enka Intermediate School. For some of you, you'll remember the last time we assembled here was at our topping out ceremony, which signified the last steel beam being placed at the highest point of our building, that being the clock tower behind me. From these early beginnings and through the tireless work of our architects, builders, school maintenance, and technology personnel, we are assembled here once again to celebrate the finished product, our new Enka Intermediate School. Speaking on behalf of the Enka Candler community, we are grateful to the forward-thinking residents, school board members, our county commissioners who without their support, none of this would have been possible. They shared our vision and recognized the invaluable resource this intermediate school will provide to our children. This school will relieve crowding in the middle school and all 4 elementary feeder schools in the district, while also allowing space for the inevitable future growth. Now, while we can provide great new facilities, technology, state-of-the-art teaching tools, we must always remember that people are the heart and soul of the school. People bring the desire to learn and the passion to teach. Therefore, first and foremost, I would like to ask the children who will be enrolled and the teachers, staff, and administrators who will be working at this school to please stand. Everybody behind, and let's give them all a hand. Thank you. You'll be hearing more from our principal, and also she will be speaking to more length about the faculty and staff that she's assembled here. Next, I want to recognize several distinguished guests who are in attendance today. First of all, I would like to recognize our Buncombe County Board of County Commissioners. Mr. David Gann is with us. David is the chair of the County Commission. David, where are you at? There you go. We also have with us Mr. Joe Belcher. Joe is serving as our vice chair, and Joe is also actually representing the Enka district on the County Commission. The other folks that I know are in the audience, and I hope I don't miss anybody because I'm going to call everyone's name, is Miss Holly Jones, our Mr. Brownie Newman, Ellen Frost. Is Ellen with us? Okay. Ellen, Mike Fryer, Miranda DeBrule was responsible or on the board at the time when this was in progress, and Mr. Tim Moffitt is representing her at this time. But I think that covers all of our board members, and again, we owe a debt of gratitude to these people for their commitment to education in Buncombe County. Next, I would like to acknowledge the Board of Education for Buncombe County. These are my colleagues, the people that I have had privilege to work with. And I personally don't think you can find a finer group of people to associate with. First of all, I'd like to introduce to you Miss Ann Franklin. Ann is the chairwoman of the board. We refer to her as Madam Chair. Ann, if you'll stand up and wave, they'll... Next to Ann, we have Miss Amy Churchill. Our vice chair, Mr. Chip Craig. Next to Chip, I have Cindy McMahon. Also, Mr. Pat Bryant. And next to Pat, Dusty Pless. Also in our midst is Mr. Bobby Reinhardt, Bobby being the former chair of the Buncombe County Board of Education. And Bobby was on the board when all of this got its toehold. And he fought for this school. And Bobby, it's behind you. Good job. A few other folks in the audience that I noticed as they came in. One is Mr. Brian Turner, Representative Brian Turner. Along with Representative Turner, we have Representative John Ager. John's right here. I also saw in the audience Mr. Bill Murdoch. Mr. Murdoch, where are you at? Right back here in the back. Mr. Murdoch is the chairman and of the Eblin Foundation. If you remember about a week ago, if you turned on your TV, you were seeing Tools for Schools. That's just one of many, many things that the Eblin Foundation does for Buncombe County and this community. And he is certainly a friend to education. All right, at this point in time, I would like to introduce Miss Ann Franklin, chairperson of the Buncombe County Board of Education, for a word of welcome.
What a wonderful group. Thank you so much for coming. The board and the Board of Commissioners, we are so happy that we can provide this facility of learning for our children. And what I would say to you as parents and as children, especially as teachers, is we provide the facility. The learning is up to you. And so go forth, have a wonderful year, and knock them dead.
Now I would ask that you please join me in welcoming our Buncombe County Superintendent, Dr. Tony Baldwin.
This is one crazy cold spell we're having in August, isn't it? You know, I just can't help but thinking, I have an opportunity to attend a number of ceremonies like this throughout my career, and so many of them are simply arranged invitations, and you see public officials like myself, and that's it. What a fitting ceremony we have today, because when I look out, what I see public officials, we've recognized them, but more importantly, I see the Enka community. And I've got eyes in the back of my head, and that's the smart part of the Enka community that's under the shade. But the reason that's so important for this school is, of all schools, and I represent them all, this school was designed from the start to pay homage to the traditions, to the heritage that has made this community great. And that is so special. And I promise you, parents, that I'm not going to go through a history lesson. One of the famous natives of this district, Roger Metcalf, was unable to be here, so he gave me a few little bullet points about history that I will relate. But the true history lessons are going to take place inside this building. And as you walk through, you will see a number of cases, glass cases that hold memorabilia about this community. And borrowing from Roger's words, and many of you out there may already know this, but the American Enka Company was established here in Hominy Valley by a contract with the city of Asheville on September 22nd, 1928 by a Dutch firm. And I am not going to embarrass myself or this community trying to pronounce the full name of the Dutch company. But what I will say to you is that historically, Enka, E-N-K-A, came out of the abbreviated pronunciation of that Dutch company. Enka would not be a consolidated community without the American Enka Company in the 20s. The name of Enka would not be in place if it wasn't associated with this Dutch company. America Enka came here during the Great Depression. And what they offered to this component of Western North Carolina was an opportunity for steady income, which was so rare in those days. But the thing I want to emphasize to you is that from the start, again, the heritage, some of the bricks that you find in place inside this building go back to America Enka, who put first and foremost education for their employees, and not only employees, but the families of those employees. A school system here in Buncombe was expanded because of their gracious support. They had a library inside the plant that housed over 2,000 books. Classes such as, and they may be coming back, shorthand, literacy. Now we do have the literacy, balanced literacy in Buncombe County schools, but that was provided for classes for families in the Enka area. And eventually they actually supported a formal program of college education and provided scholarships to sons and daughters of employees. The board's willingness to display Enka memorabilia at the Enka Intermediate School, and some of you, I see some high school students and middle school students. When you walk in that school, those two schools, you're also going to see cases of that same memorabilia that's there, because we want you, it's so important, and I say this as a parent, not a superintendent, that in today's environment, too often we lose sight of the traditions, the historical traditions, and the culture that have got us to here. And that will be a pledge that will be made from this school and the entire Enka District schools. So at this time, I would like to introduce the next speaker, and that is Chairman Mr. David Gant. And David, as you come up, I want to present this. I heard Max recognize the commissioners. But we want to give you, this is a temporary plaque because our intent is there is a much, much more honorable plaque that is underway, being made. We just didn't make it in time. It's the only thing I think we didn't make on time for this opening. But that will be displayed inside the main office forever and ever. And it says, with appreciation to the Buncombe County Commissioners for their support of the Enka Intermediate School, dedicated on August 26, 2016. So on behalf of not only the Enka community, the Enka School District, but the Buncombe County School System, thank you.
Thank you. Great.
Thanks, David.
Let's give it a hand. How about it? There are a lot of people out there that said, you'll never get another school in Enka after you built the middle school out there. But you know, you got a good school board, you got a good county commission, and the way this thing works is the county commission is the funding mechanism that does most of it. We're responsible for building the schools and making sure that the schools are good for the teachers, for the students, for the community. And this is my pleasure. This is the 11th school I've had the honor to open. And ladies and gentlemen, it wasn't always like that. 30 years ago, we were the other way. We actually made a list that you don't want to make. It's called the Dilapidated Dozen List, where we were in the 12 worst school districts as far as construction in the country, not just in the state. So what happened? You elected some good school board members. They had vision. You elected some county commissioners that understood that education is the best investment that any community can make. And we've built 21 schools. And so we're proud of that. We're proud of the Hominy Valley community. How many former Enka students are up there? Raise your hand. And keep your hands up. How many teachers? Former teachers. Students and teachers, you got some overlap. Let's give these folks some hand because they had some challenges in the buildings they worked in. As Dr. Baldwin said, this is a community rich in heritage. Notice the clock. You notice the way the roof looks. And I want to thank Max Queen for pushing hard to make sure that this school retained and has a sense of history, because we don't have the plant working anymore. But as we're going to hear from Mr. White in a few minutes, that plant fed a lot of families. That plant made a real difference in this community and built it up. And we should all respect that and appreciate that, even if we weren't directly affected by it. We also have a couple other people I want to introduce. We have some other school board members. I saw Jim Edmonds here. Any other former school board members here? Because these things take time to get through, and a lot of times it goes over. And I also want to recognize former Commissioner David King. He was actually on the board when we voted for this, and this makes a real difference that we have an opportunity to have strong advocacy from the district, and that makes a difference. The whole future of Buncombe County depends on how well we do education. If we blow it, if we don't pay teachers the right salary and pay them for the professionals they are, we're failing. If we don't make sure that every kid here has an education that gives them an opportunity to find a good job after they're graduated, we failed. If we don't provide facilities where you have the best opportunity to learn and be educated, we failed. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to submit to you, we passed today. We got an A+ here. What do you think? And your commission is going to continue to try to be A+. This is my last hurrah on here, but you've got some great commissioners, you've got some great candidates. You're going to keep going the right way. And every year that I've been on the commission, and these folks have been on the commission, we voted to fund teacher supplements. And that's important because whatever the situation is in Raleigh, the local community also has a moral obligation to make sure teachers get paid what they're entitled to. We've got to make sure that we have the best people training our kids and making sure we give them up-to-date facilities and making sure that everybody has the best opportunity to succeed no matter what their level is. So we're going to keep doing that. You push the commissioners, whoever's on the commission. Their job is to make sure you have these facilities. So you make sure your voice is heard. Are there any people from Equal Education for Enka here? That was a group that formed that said we need a new school. And they pushed it. They had 400 members at one time. But thank your school board, thank your superintendent, thank your county commission, because at the end of the day it comes down to money. And I'm proud to be part of this. I know all the commissioners that are here with us today are mighty proud. Commissioner Belcher's got a grandson coming here. He's been here a lot trying to make sure things are done the right way. And we want you to succeed. We think you will. And what an honor to be here. Thank you for taking time out in this broiling sun and shade. And it's an honor. Thank you. Have a great day, and let's be successful. Thank you.
I just want to reiterate something David just said. As he mentioned, he's going to be rotating off the board. He's had a long and very, very excellent career as a commissioner on our Buncombe County Board. Did you hear that he said he was involved with 11 schools? There are 43 in Buncombe County. That's a little over 1/4 of all the schools this man had a hand in. So I think we owe it another very, very big round of applause. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, Mac.
Well, as been stated, this school is evidence of our county's commitment to the education of our children. To all the young people here today who will be starting school Monday morning, please know that family roots run deep in Hominy Valley, and our schools offer innumerable opportunities for education and a means for each of you to follow your road to success. I ask that you take a moment to consider that you all are first. You know, we just had the Olympics. Everybody wanted to be first and have a gold medal. Monday morning when you walk through that door, you're first. You're first in everything. You're setting the record book first, okay? And I want you to be proud of your school. I want you to claim ownership of your school. I want you to enjoy all it has to offer. And remember that someday, decades into the future, maybe your children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren will be walking these same halls. A favorite quote of mine says that those who drink the water should remember those who dug the well. Now, if you think about that, I believe what that means is that we should all take a moment and reflect on our history and really how the past affects our lives. Earlier, Superintendent Baldwin mentioned the significance of American Enka settling in the Hominy Valley. Who would have thought that those people in the 1920s were making decisions that would ultimately impact us nearly 100 years later? But they did. And with that said, at this time, I want to introduce to you Mr. Ray White. Mr. White is a former research lab coordinator, and he is going to share with us firsthand his experience of the impact this industry had on his family and thousands more families throughout Western North Carolina. So join me in welcoming Ray to the stage. Thank you, sir.
I'm not much of a speaker, but I did work in the Enka Research Lab for 30 years. This valley would have not been what it is today if it had not been for American Enka and Champion Paper Fiber Company, or Paper Town as they call it. My family spent, out of 6 boys, we spent 154 years for this plant. We raised our families, sent our 2 kids through college, and my wife and I, we were really privileged to have worked here. She also worked here back in the 60s. But in the meantime, before I came to Enka Candler, I lived in Mount Sterling, North Carolina. In Mount Sterling, North Carolina, we had a 2-room school. We did not have a high school. We had to go to Cosby, Tennessee to get a high school education. We only had 2 teachers, 1 teacher and 1 principal teacher. Okay? And from there, I had 2 brothers who finished Cosby, Tennessee in 1948. My daddy passed away in 1948. Left my mom with 6 boys. We could not survive in Mount Sterling, North Carolina. It's all mountainous. We had to move out of Mount Sterling December the 17th, 1948. I came to Candler School, And this was a very, very trying time for me and my family. As of, we had 30 or 40 students at the little school in Mount Sterling. I came to a school that was 800. I was lost. From there, I came out of Candler School, came to Enka High School in 1955 when Sand Hill and Candler were consolidated. I was a freshman in 1955. I finished school in 1959. I looked for a job, I looked for a job, I looked for a job. They said, we won't hire you until you have your military service over with. I said, wow. So I looked till 1963. I went to my mailbox in 1963. And surprise, surprise, Uncle Sam was drafting me into the Army. I had a job, but it wasn't what I wanted. From there, I went to boot camp. My wife and I got married in August of 10th, 1963. We went to Oklahoma, spent 8 months. My unit was shipped overseas to Germany. I brought her back home and gave her back to Mom and Dad. And I spent my 13 months in Germany. I came back here, and in May the 10th, 1965, I was discharged from the Army. And from there, I went and put my application in at American Enka. And then, guess what? June the 14th, 1965, they called me to work. And I went to work on June the 14th, 1965, and spent 30 years with the company. I had some notes, but I won't use them. But in 1965, like I said, she and I, we worked together. She worked at Candler School for 28 years as a teacher's assistant. And by the way, there were 7,000 people worked at this plant at one time. And she and I, we've enjoyed, and it was a livelihood. And like I say, it is Champion. And I could say a few other things, but it is very hot up here. But thank you all for letting me talk. And like I said, my family really, really, what you'd say, appreciated the plant, because the plant furnished raising for their kids, my kids, everyone else's kids in this area. And we really enjoyed working here. It was rough, but we made it, and so my wife are still together. I appreciate it.
6 boys, 5 of them worked here, and average the total time they spent, 154 years working for American Enka. That's not unlike many other families in our community, and I'm sure the stories are just all over. At this point, I would like to change gears a little bit and speak about the building and the architecture of the building. I would like to introduce to you Miss Christy Holden. Christy, if you come on up. Christy is the Business Development Director with Novus Architecture, and they are the company that has been responsible for this building.
Thank you, Max. In preparation for today, I went through multiple scenarios about what I would share with you at the culmination of such a great project. You know, should I bestow upon you all of the virtues of the architecture, or possibly tell you tales of all of the antics that happened through the course of it? But Ultimately, I've determined that it's really about the people, and you've heard it today. I mean, it's difficult to follow such great speakers because they've said it all. But I would like to reiterate that the community residents, the Buncombe County School Board, facilities, IT, maintenance, the contractors, engineers, architects, all work together as a team. They drew inspiration from the rich history of this community. They discovered the educational needs of these students, and they explored contemporary teaching environments. And here we are, standing before a school that addresses your culture because of the willingness of this community to share with us. A school that will attract skilled teachers and produce amazing students because of forward-thinking learning environments. Emily Kite is the project architect for this. She's unable to be here speaking to you today because of a family emergency, but she shared her thoughts with me. It is a rare opportunity to work with a team that consistently kept the ultimate goal in sight. We are privileged to be able to create a spectacular school for this deserving community. With the guidance of Tim Fearley, Buncombe County Schools, and the patriarch of Novus Architects, Mike Watson, we work together seamlessly with Hickory Construction, Wade Trim, Dewberry Engineers, Claysel Engineering to get this school ready for students and teachers. We would like to thank the Buncombe County School Board and the County Commissioners for the opportunity to work on this project. And we wish the students, faculty, and administration a fantastic school year. Thank you, Max.
Appreciate that. Next, I would like to introduce to you Mr. Mark Buncombe. He is the president of Hickory Construction. And just a point of privilege for a moment, Mark. I've been involved through the course of this. I've been to several of the construction meetings, and these folks have done an absolutely remarkable job. They were always on point. They knew what needed to be done and how to get it done. And I think for the county commissioners, you would have to agree that to deliver a building on time and on budget is something remarkable in today's marketplace. So, Mark,
Thank you. Thank you so much for those kind words. I left my coat on, so we'll be brief. I'm hotter than you are. Thank you. With those words, I have to recognize the team members at Hickory Construction. Steve Painter, Mike Merrill, Corey Seabrook, Curtis Herwig. Raise your hands up. We have to say thank you. Thank you. 13 months and 1 day ago, they erected the last piece of steel in this building to what it is today. So I'm just the mouthpiece. They did all the work. I get the easy job. I would be remiss if I didn't say Tony Baldwin and the school board, you had a big decision to make when you selected construction manager at risk. Thank you, Tony and the group. Thank you so much. Mike Watson, Novus, thank you so much. And Emily Kite that couldn't be with us, thank you for your confidence in us. Tim Fearley standing in the back. Tim, raise your hand. Everybody knows you. Thank you. Thank you for your confidence in Hickory Construction. We appreciate the opportunity to be involved in such a high-profile project, as has been talked about today about Enka. When we got selected and to be out here for the better part of 2 years, I don't think we've been in business 75 years. We built over close to 5 million square feet of K through 12 schools. And I can honestly say this is probably one of the prettiest jobs we've ever built. It's probably one of the most supportive communities, all of you, we've ever worked with. And it's been beyond an honor and a privilege to look back and see all these children walk in and realize that we were part of something that's going to impact many generations. So thank you to everybody and for the confidence in our company. Thank you.
so far we've talked a lot about the history of Enka and the building of the school. Now I want to bring us to the present and to provide insight into the future of Enka Intermediate School is Miss Carlene Finger, Enka Intermediate's new principal.
Thank you. First, I'd like to recognize our assistant principal, Miss Dana Haney, a product of the Enka schools. If she would please stand, let's give her a round of applause because we are an administrative team. I couldn't do what I do without her. In fact, I'm wearing her sunglasses right now. Our entire purpose for being here is for our students. So let's take a moment to acknowledge them and recognize them and the great schools that they are coming to us from. Let's have a shout out for our students coming from Pisgah Elementary. How about Hominy Valley Elementary? Candler Elementary? And Sandhill Venable. We also have a number of our staff coming from Enka Middle School, so let's give them a shout out too. This building is here because of a community that cares about its children. The Enka students deserve the best education that we can give them, and we are grateful for this beautiful school where we can take them one step further toward success. I want to acknowledge and express appreciation on behalf of the EIS students and staff for the tremendous love, support, and encouragement you have given to us through this process of starting a new school. Thank you to local businesses, to our churches and faith-based organizations, to the non-profit groups, and to our neighborhood associations. Also, thank you to individual neighbors themselves who have reached out to us with care and with love. We will always remember your kindness and will always be grateful. Last, I want to acknowledge our staff of EIS and ask them to stand. I am proud to have each of them standing by me on this historic day for this momentous event. They have stepped away from the security and familiarity of the great schools they are coming from, and I am proud to have each one of them on this journey. They are an amazing group of people who are joining hands and hearts on a mission to have a positive impact on every student who walks through these doors. We are Enka. We are proud. So fasten your seatbelts because these jets are getting ready to fly. I am Enka. I choose to be the best. Empathy, integrity, self-control, jets. Thank you.
Well, now, for what we've all been waiting for, I would ask that the Board of Commissioners, the Board of Education, Superintendent Baldwin, Principal Finger, and her student representatives meet at the main entry to the school for the ribbon cutting. And I would also ask the rest of you to join us over here for this historic event. Thank you.
Guys, this is a Kodak moment before and we're gonna have after. We've got representatives from all the feeder schools coming into Enka. And Carlene, you wanna say any words here before we do this officially?
It's all about the students, and so they're front and center. Let's give a round of applause for our kids.
All right, I'm gonna step out of the way. We're gonna give a countdown. We're all gonna give a countdown in just a minute. All right, let's give a countdown. 3, 2, 1, cut.